Hello everyone. I was hesitant to actually make this video as I do not have an intention to actually make videos on a regular basis. However, after a lot of deliberation, I decided to make this video because I was getting tired of commenting on other videos about Rambo: Last Blood. I'll be highlighting the real problem of this movie, which no one from the mainstream media, viewers, and critics, even fans, have mentioned. Let me preface this video by saying Rambo is my favorite action hero. My first experience with Rambo was when I watched Rambo 3 in the cinema when I was 7 years old in 1988. Since then, I've been a massive fan to this day. I have many collectibles and memorabilia from my childhood and even now thanks to eBay. As I am from the Middle East, Rambo takes on a different meaning to us in the third world. In the United States, Rambo is seen as a cheesy action hero. We see him as a symbol of freedom, and I see in many parts of our side of the fence, we live under oppression or constant states of war. We never were able to have our own hero to look up to, and that's where Rambo comes in. I also wish to add that in Rambo 3, the movie does not actually have the dedication to the Mujahideen fighters. It's an internet hoax, and you can find the video in the description that debunks it. That's just for posterity. Now, I don't want to have a retrospective on the series, which of course is something I could talk about for hours, but rather I want to address what really is wrong with Rambo's latest movie. It has nothing to do with politics or any Trumpian fantasies or misogyny or other SJW terms. It has nothing to do with the violence, because when you go to watch a Rambo movie, you go in expecting gory and satisfying action, and here you get it in spades. What we need to remember is that Sylvester Stallone is now in his 70s, and it won't make a lot of sense to have him running around carrying a machine gun and mowing people down, as much as it would be amazing. Although the Rambo series is highly exaggerated, it's still kind of grounded in reality, and modern action films like John Wick or Fast and the Furious, etc., do not have the same level of realism. Rather, they favor a more stylized and more comical, bombastic sense of action. Which of course is not meant to say that Rambo doesn't have it, but it's still, if you've seen all 4 movies, or 5 actually, you can see that there's some sort of hint at military realism. You see, the movie Last Blood was trying to go for a Logan, Unforgiven, Old Country for Old Men type of feel and associated themes. The premise and story is a revenge story like Taken, with a Home Alone standoff in the final act, which we've seen in many other films, including Skyfall. Hence why it was a scaled back and not a huge epic battlefield of war like in 2, 3, and 4. The real problem with this film is that it was too low budget. It only cost $50 million to make. This is the same amount as the last film, simply titled Rambo, in 2008. But that movie looked and felt a lot bigger in scale and in production value. What made Last Blood suffer was that it was painfully obvious that it was a low-budget movie for 2019. Adjusting for inflations, that means that the 2008 film is almost 60 million by today's rate. Not only is the action limited, coming from the last 3 films, but it lacked a lot of polish, and the runtime was too short for what they were going for in the first and second acts. Since they were going for a more gritty personal story rather than just a basic go to X country and fix that problem there, they should have a little more time to flesh out the characters of the supporting cast, especially the villains and the reporter played by Paz Vega. It also seems that the marketing budget was very low as well, since apart from a few hardcore fans, who knew about were following the movie, it wasn't advertised as heavily. But unfortunately, the critics were not very favorable and they were very harsh on the movie. And this led to a lot less a box office. What's more surprising is that as of today, it has grossed $86.9 or $87 million, but the China box office has not been factored here as far as I'm aware. The international box office numbers are pretty scarce, and which I find highly unusual. Even on Box Office Mojo, they seem to be under-tracked. I thought the movie was good for what it was going for. If it had a bigger budget and a longer runtime, it might have fared better with the critics, which mostly watched the cut version compared to the international release, in where Rambo helps some people during a flood. And this was the version I saw in theaters. And this extra 10 minutes of runtime had a lot of impact and value to the film, which was not shown in the US, UK, and I think the Australian release. Another issue is that Lionsgate did not fund Sly with a bigger amount of money as that might have been given to giving him a cut worthy of their intentions. Rambo was never good with critics, as all the movies except for First Blood were low with the ratings. But you can see they were all successful and the fans enjoy them. I would love to see Rambo return one last time to finish off his arc with the cartels, with probably a collaboration with the person who wrote Sicario. I forgot his name at the moment, and I'm too lazy to look it up, and a bigger budget. Actually, I came up with a new idea for Rambo, which I will talk about in a future video, should this video get any traction. Thank you, everyone, and I hope you have a good day. Thank you.